What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another episode and another week of the What the Fuck podcast. I'm Nick. That's Gunk. Gunk, we
What's
are
up?
back. It is
It's Gunk.
opening day, so I have something to look forward to that is not hockey. You're coming up on being able to potentially clinch a playoff spot with the Devils. We shall see, but let's get into it. The Devils played last night. They beat
Oh,
Chicago.
hold on, Nick. I
Oh,
just got something across my phone.
let me hear it.
Oh, Flyers have fired John Tortorella as head coach.
Whoa!
Oh, shit. Wow. That came out of, wow, that's how we timed that out perfectly. Oh, hold on. I'm just pulling up
Whoa!
ESPN. They have
Torts
fired
is
Torts.
gone. Yep. Okay.
And I
I'll.
was just about to talk about the Phillies, too. Now we're talking about the Flyers. So,
Yep. News update: the Philadelphia Flyers announced today that the
woo.
team has relieved John Tortorella of his duties as head coach. Brad Shaw will be the interim. Uh, the quote
Wow.
from GM Danny Briere: "Today I made the very difficult decision to move on from John as our head coach. John played a vital role in our rebuild. He set a standard of play and reestablished what it meant to be a Philadelphia Flyer. John's passion on the bench was only equaled by his charitable work in our community. As we move into the next chapter of this rebuild, I felt this was the best move for our team, the best for our team to move forward. I'd like to thank John for his tireless work and commitment to the Flyers." That's how you fire a coach.
That's how you do it, man. Oh, wow. And now Briere is really on the hot seat now coming into this offseason. I mean, he's got lots of big decisions coming up this year, and he's going to be on the major hot seat, number one next year. I gotta believe, for at least on the GM hot seat.
Yeah, now that you've now pretty much openly admitted that you're rebuilding by saying it multiple times in the quote.
Absolutely.
So, I think it's the right move. I was talking to my friend who's a Flyers fan yesterday, and he said that Tortorella is just openly admitting that he can't coach a tanking team. This team shouldn't even be tanking. I feel like the Flyers have
No.
enough to make it work. Sure, the teams in the division are slightly better, but if it wasn't for some bad stretches throughout the season, in your last 10, you're 1-8-1 and you've lost two straight. If you had won some of those games, you're right up in the mix. So
Oh,
I think it's
absolutely.
a matter of Torts couldn't coach a team like this because he's never had to.
Right, exactly.
When he coached
And
with the
especially,
Rain,
oh,
no, go ahead, go
no, no,
ahead.
I'm saying, especially coming off the trade deadline. I mean, I think at that point when he realized when they were sending, you know, when they were sending other some of his players to other teams. I mean, Morgan Frost, the other, these guys. That was the signal right there that, hey, we're in a rebuild right now, and I don't think he wanted to be a part of it. And like you were saying, there's been many quotes in the last 2 weeks coming out of, that he just is not into this team anymore. And I mean, again, good for Philadelphia to do it now and just, get the head coaching, carousel started. But it's
Yeah,
it's really
because
surprising.
you know what? I made the joke. I would happily take the trade of coaches from what I got to Torts right now, I think.
Right.
There's just something about the way Torts coaches that I feel like would actually be able to like jumpstart this Rangers team because he's coached some of these guys before.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think I think it's a good move for Philly. I feel like you could find a new voice, a better voice, because the Flyers are starting to get younger. Torts knows how to coach older guys.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
been in this league for over 20 years. He's not going to want to, he's like a star player. He does not want to stick around for a rebuild.
Right.
And I
Absolutely.
don't blame him. You're on par with the Sabres. Like, Philly's record right now is 28-36-9 for 65 points with a 445 point percentage. Buffalo is 29-35-6 with a 457 and 64 points. So, I don't really I don't really get where Philly is like really like a tanking team. So it's
Right.
just I'm just kind of confused as to where Philly really just is in all of this.
Yes, and
Like
like I said, what's the experience level they're gonna look for? Are they gonna look younger? They're gonna, look for, like a middle age, kind of, just, somebody with a little bit of success, that. maybe couldn't cut it somewhere, as would try Philadelphia, or are they going to go with an aging coach again? Somebody a little older, a little more wiser, who's been through the battles. I mean, it's for
It's gonna be
Philadelphia right now.
Mike Babcock to look through your phones again.
Ooh,
It's
no,
gonna be
let's not
Mike
do that.
Babcock.
Let's not do that again for any team. But so let's say the Rangers have down the stretch do not play well. They let go of Laviolette. Would that be number one call to Torts right now for next year for
No,
you?
I don't I don't think so, but I think
Okay.
it would at this point probably just make the most sense because the one thing we've been talking about with the Rangers every episode for the past couple weeks is they're soft. They're
Right.
not playing up to where they're supposed to. They're not playing with any kind of heart, with any grit, with any determination. You're not gonna get that pulled from this team from Laviolette, but I think you could from Torts. But I feel like Torts' message in the NHL is just so different now,
Right.
and I don't think he'd be able to work with the defense. I feel like the Rangers' defense is a bunch of prima donnas that aren't going to be able to take criticism from somebody that is going to just have no problem giving it to you.
Right.
So I think it would make sense, but it just feels like you're trying to go back to what you had because this Rangers team could win a Stanley Cup in about 2018, 2019. Not with what they have now. I mean, this is just it's kind of just all over the place with how coaching is in the NHL right now because a lot of the best guys that you could say are could be a head coach in the NHL or somewhere else.
Right. Exactly.
And even then, you had one of the guys. Edmonton's head coach used to be Hartford's head coach.
Yeah,
He
absolutely.
coached for the Rangers 3 games when David Quinn went out for COVID.
Right.
And those were some of the best games that the Rangers played. They beat the Flyers 9-1 or some shit, or 7-2 or whatever. And now it's just with Laviolette, it feels like you're worse than Gallant was.
Right.
I don't think this Rangers team could have done another year of Gerard Gallant, but I don't think they could keep doing another year of Laviolette either.
Yeah. So
In terms of coaching, I don't even know who's out there.
that's why I figured maybe that would be the first call to go to. Again, especially he knows New York. He knows he knows the play. Knows some of the players. It's an older team. It's not it's got elements of youth here and there, but it's a lot. It's an established team, and like I said, I feel like it would be a nice fit for them. I mean, especially going into if the Rangers want to make one more run at this, with this team or a combination of these players, it'd be a pretty good move for them. Just as a stopgap. But again, you're not looking for stopgaps right now. As bad as they've been playing, recently, you don't want that stopgap, and you just don't know what's going to come back. A lot of these guys are going to be a year older next year. Can they handle it now? They couldn't handle it in this year. Can they handle it next year? So, like I said, there's going to be a lot of questions coming up in the next month or so. Where once we get into a playoffs, where these other teams are going to be either looking for coaches, firing coaches. It's going to be a really interesting carousel going into the offseason this year especially for coaches.
Yeah, because there hasn't been that many names out there that you don't already know. Who are you bringing? There's no guys out there that you can reasonably look at and say this is who should be the next head coach. Because I made the joke about Babcock. Absolutely not.
Oh,
Torts
absolutely not.
Torts would be cute, but it's just all right, we have our coach from 10 years ago.
Right. This is almost a situation where the Devils were in right at the end, where they brought in Jacques Lemaire back in after after his run in '95. They brought him back in, and he was always bouncing back in and out of the system and stuff with the Devils. So it'd be kind of the same kind of scenario. I mean, not perfectly perfect, but close enough where you can make the comparisons between the two teams.
Because then I totally agree with you. Because I think you run it back with Laviolette next year, but you get rid of the assistants. Because that's what we're looking at. The defense has been atrocious. Special teams has been terrible. Your penalty kill is the only thing that's good because your goaltender is good.
Right.
So I feel like it's not Laviolette that's the problem. It's the other guys around him that aren't putting in the same amount. Because if they were putting in the same amount as other coaches that the Rangers have had, you would see a better defense. Last year there was a better defense, and these are the same guys.
Right.
Like last year, I never talked about Keandre Miller the way I do, and I'm gonna get ready to lay into him again this week. So it's getting to a point where Phil Housley is not who you want your assistant coach to be. He couldn't even coach Buffalo to a winning season.
Right.
Michael Pekka's fine, not who you want. And you lost your goalie coach. You lost your goalie coach at the beginning of the year. Your goaltending has looked a lot worse. Even though your goalie coach is now the director of goaltending, your goalies still look terrible. A lot needs to be changed, and I don't understand why it's such a revolving carousel all the time. After a certain point, it feels like it's the players getting rewarded at this point because they don't like the coach, so they stop playing bad. I mean,
Right.
I can look at the defensive metrics for the Rangers. On ice expected goals against per 60 minutes. Braden Schneider 2.99, so just 3 goals expected when he's on the ice every 60 minutes.
That's crazy.
Earl Vakanainen has been on the bench recently. He's been up in the press box. We haven't even been playing him. 2.76. Zach Jones, the prodigy, according to all Rangers fans, the prodigy, the best defenseman that we've had ever since sliced fucking bread. He's third on the list with 2.73. Will Borgen, we got him from somebody else. 2.68. Keandre Miller, 2.61. Carson Soucy, 2.6. Adam Fox, 2.57. You want to know who has the best on-ice expected goals against per 60 minutes? It's fucking Calvin DeHaan, who hasn't even been here for 5 games and has a 199.
Whew.
Every single defenseman that this team employs, you can almost guarantee that 2 goals are going to come when any of them are on the ice throughout 60 minutes. Like, on-ice shot attempts, 66, 63, 59, 61, 57, 61, 53, 56. Almost 70 shot attempts against per game.
Oof.
On-ice high-danger shot attempts against per 60 minutes. I'll start from the top. Vakanainen, 3.41. Fox, 3.11. Schneider, 3.04. Zach Jones, 3.02. Borgen, 2.84. Carson Soucy, 2.6. Key, 2.1. And Calvin DeHaan still rounding out the bottom of the list with 1.29. You are giving up almost 5 high-danger chances against.
Right.
Per 60 minutes. We could go into the on-ice goal differential. Fox with plus 12. Jones plus 2. Vakanainen 1. Schneider minus 1. Soucy minus 7. DeHaan minus 8. Key minus 11. And to round out the list, surprisingly enough, Will Borgen, who we all could have said, hey, he's not the best guy for the job.
Right.
On-ice expected goal differential. I'm just going through advanced stats on Money Puck. If you got you, this is all public knowledge that we can find.
Oh, absolutely.
On-ice expected goal differential. I'll start from the top. Fox 8.9. DeHaan 2.1. It seems like Calvin DeHaan has been our best defenseman, and you're not even playing him.
Yeah, exactly.
Key 1.3. Jones minus 2.9. Vakanainen minus 5.9, and it just gets worse. Minus 7, minus 9.5, and minus 11.8 to round it out with Soucy.
The defense has been tremendously horrible this year for the New York Rangers. And again, it's luckily that you have a goalie like Shesterkin behind you, or this would be really a bad situation for them right now. I mean, like I said.
Oh, if Jonathan Quick was in net.
Yeah.
Sorry, gang. I swallowed Gatorade the wrong way.
There you go.
If Jonathan Quick was in net, these games would be so much worse.
Oh, absolutely.
But I mean, sorry for coughing into the microphone, but I mean, yeah, this is just a mess from up and down the decor. The Rangers used to have the best decor in the NHL, but that was 15 years ago.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah, no,
I remember watching Rangers games and being like, "Wow, this is the best defensive core in the league." And that was in 2012.
I remember
So
those days.
13 years ago.
13 years ago, their defense was fantastic. None of them, I don't
Oh
think, even
man.
play anymore.
Uh for the Rangers
Joey
some
Jeffrey.
do. We still
Okay.
got Kreider. We still got Kreider.
Still got
That was like
Kreider.
his rookie season, but we still got him.
Oh, yeah, but yes.
Oh man. But with the Rangers, they lost against Toronto at home. It was a 4-3 loss, but unfortunately, they just can't get out of their own way, this team. I don't understand what it is. You played well, but not good enough to keep it, like, to tie the game and pull ahead. But you kept it close against a solid enough team. I'll take it. And, yeah, I mean, Toronto, you're probably not gonna win that game the way you are right now.
Right. No, again,
But
and no way expected it. It was a pretty. I mean, like I said, I watched the highlights. It was a pretty good game. I mean,
yeah,
like I said, they, like I said, the Rangers came out. They played really well. I mean, they went down 1-0. They got the, again, our favorite shit on the defense. Will Morgan scored, but then, like I
and it was
said,
a
you're
nice
giving
goal
it right up
too.
with 10
Exactly.
seconds left in the first.
Exactly. It was like, oh, cool, great. We tied it. We're gonna go into the second, ready to go. We're tied. No.
Nope.
No, sit down.
And trust me, I've had that situation for the last week myself. So I totally get where you're coming from with last minute goals. And like I said, those are the most killer, I swear, especially for the momentum, especially when you're playing somebody that's better than you or at the same level as you. It's like you get it, you get out of the first and you think you're tied. All right, we're gonna go in. We got, it's a good game going on, and then you give up a goal, and it's like it just kills any momentum you have especially as a fan. It's just one of those like one of those ugh moments. And like I said, it happens really a lot in the NHL nowadays. If you notice, it's a lot of like 10 seconds, 5 seconds scoring. Before the period, they just got to start playing. You got to play the full time. And like I said, even we had Timo the other night, again, I think it was after the Vancouver game, saying you got to play a 60-minute game. Even if you play 59, 30, it's not a whole game. You got to play the full 60 minutes, man. And like I said, that's what happened the other day with Vancouver against the Devils. I mean, we had them on the ropes, and then they just give up they give up the tying goal, losing the shootout. I mean, it was good that we got the point, but right there, you really wanted those 2 points. I mean, right now, it's not hurting you in the standings. You're pretty much set in the third spot right now. I mean, after last night's win against Chicago, which is, God bless you, Chicago. Wow, they are terrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're the worst. The Sharks are better than them, and they're running off the power of friendship.
Seriously, they are terrible. And again, I've been watching. I watched them play. They played Vancouver, who's, like I said, has not been as good as they were last year. Played a really good game against them, but yeah, that Blackhawks team really needs some big time help coming up. And I can see why Bedard's getting frustrated on the bench now. Just watching a full game of that last night was really bad for.
Yeah, because it's really just him and Ryan Donato at this point doing anything.
Seriously.
And
yes,
man, that is. Yeah, Chicago was just in a rough spot. I remember going to a couple months ago. I went with my friend to Devils and the Blackhawks at the Rock for a game. It was when they scored. It was when they scored like 4 goals in the third to win like 4-1. They just looked so bad. I mean, granted, the Devils didn't play their best game until the third period of that game either. But Chicago was just so bad. There was nothing exciting about them.
No. I mean, even Bedard, like he's not like, and they've moved him to a wing now. You know, they've got him center. And, you know, he was the center. Now they got him, you know, playing on a wing now. I mean, he's played a lot better at that position, but like I said, it just looks so bad. And again,
Yeah,
except for the one line, I mean, that's all he had to really defend last night. I mean, long as you know you were defending them, you were in the good last night.
mhm. Yeah, Chicago needs a lot to be able to like make anything work.
Yes.
And I just don't think you're going to be able to do that through drafting. I mean, cuz then you're just wasting I feel like you're wasting Bedard.
Oh, absolutely. And you can tell the frustrations from him alone. I mean, he wants to be on good teams, but like I said,
But I
they
also
haven't
don't
built
feel
around.
like the league is giving him any help. If you're
Mm-hmm.
seeing some of the calls they're making against this kid, I wouldn't be happy either. I would be just as pissed off. Him slamming his sticks, breaking sticks, whatever, after getting tossed for being in fights and stuff. I mean, what do you expect? Let the kid go. I
Which is I want to be that's so funny you brought that point up because again, the power play the Devils scored the fourth goal on last night was like I said, Nemec had they were tangled up in the corner next to Markstrom, and Bedard fell, and Nemec kind of gave him a couple shots to the back, and again the teammates didn't like him, got the third guy in, got a roughing call, and which again if you watch the TNT broadcast, Kenny Albert was like, that's a ridiculous call to call against Chicago. Come out, boom, power play goal. You're up for, you get your fourth goal and you're rolling. So, like I said, you can see Bedard, he's just not getting the calls like he should have. And I think Nemeth should have got a penalty on that play, at least, make it a 4-on-4 at least. But they didn't do it. They got the power play. They got the fourth goal with, Dawson Mercer, who really broke out last night. It was very nice to see the Murdoch busting out last night. Really nice to see, especially on the power play, where he really hasn't played. He was more of a power play 2 player all year, and now with the injuries, the Hughes, and like I said, he's gotten in there and he's really produced. So got to give it up to the Murdoch last night. Really good game. Really, really good game. Strong 2-goal effort last night.
that was a, it's not a penalty.
Are you looking at the
Yeah,
Nemeth play?
yeah, that's not a penalty.
I mean, but if you figure
I could see
in
where
the
they're
star,
coming from, but what?
if you put Sydney in that position, I guarantee Nemec is getting a penalty on that play. That's
Oh,
something.
for sure.
I mean, that's
It's
where
a
I'm talking about
joke.
where Bedard is getting like kind of like he's getting frustrated because he knows he's a star of this team, and he's not getting calls the way, like I said, most
Yeah, he's getting
stars of most
jobbed.
teams will. Yeah, exactly.
He's getting
So, like,
jobbed out here.
yeah.
The NHL is such a joke, man. Like
Mhm.
this is the best sport in the world and the worst league to be a fan of.
Oh,
Like, wow, that's just the worst. That do better. A lot of people always
exactly.
say that officials should have their own press conferences so we can ask you what the fuck were you thinking? We should.
Yeah,
There should
absolutely.
be there should be more accountability held now cuz I've talked about referee calls. We're talking about it right now. We talked about it last year. We'll talk about it next year. When is anything going to be done about this? You're actively pinpointing players that you don't like because they're repeat offenders.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. That we were talking
Like,
about that a couple weeks ago with the Rempe friggin' penalty that
yeah.
cost the Rangers the game the last time. It was the same kind of situation. Just because he has a reputation doesn't mean he should be taking a penalty. Last
And
night,
Bedard doesn't
even
even really have a reputation. You've just been
right,
actively calling him out every game now.
yeah,
I'm not sure if he said something to you that got your panties in a bunch, but get him out. Like you're now just targeting the kid.
no, absolutely,
And I'd say, what if this is how it keeps up? I'm not signing back here. I wouldn't want to play in your league.
no,
I don't care
absolutely
that
not.
I'm your next star. You don't highlight your stars. You're highlighting your oldest guy because he's right there close to the goal record.
Right,
I can guarantee you if Ovi was 20 goals away, we wouldn't care about him this season. But you
no.
wouldn't still be talking about Bedard. You'd be talking about Sid. You'd be talking about Nate. You'd be talking about Connor. You'd be talking about Leon. You'd be talking about Brett. And even then, you're talking about all these other stars. You're talking about Jack. You're talking about all these guys. But Connor Bedard is supposed to be the next guy. He was supposed to be the next McDavid, the next Sidney, the next OV, the next whatever.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be the next guy. Sid never had that happen to him.
Nope.
Ovi has never had this happen to him. Any first overall pick. Loff never had this happen to him. Jack has never had this.
Nope.
Like, if any of them... Shut up, baby. If any of them were getting the same treatment, it would make more sense.
No,
but
absolutely.
they're not. So I feel like you're actively just pinpointing the kid at this point and making it worse. Because now you're actively just showing how much tempers are flaring in Chicago because they are that bad.
Right, exactly. No, exactly your point. Again, they are not, they've never been big with promoting, and this is not a way to promote the game, especially with somebody as young as he is. I mean, the kid just turning 20. I mean, he's got such a bright future, and if you're not giving him these calls where it's clearly calls where he should be getting, I mean, we're not talking about calls where they're phantom calls or anything like that. These are clearly calls where they should be called for him and they're not being called. So yeah. I don't know what, like you said, I don't know if he said something or if he, messed around with something. I have no idea.
Honestly, if you want to,
really,
and I want to keep touching on the marketing aspect of him. Think of the Four Nations. How often were they talking about him? Did you ever hear anybody talking about Connor Bedard?
No, absolutely not.
It was McDavid, Marner, Matthews, Crosby, the same guys I'm bringing up. So it's at a point now where you're not advertising one of your best guys, one of your most impressive guys. I've seen more over the past 2 years about Trevor Zegras than I have Connor Bedard. And anything that I have heard about Bedard has been negative.
Right.
One of the first big stories of his career is that Corey Perry may or may not have fucked his mom.
Right, exactly.
What are we... what a way to welcome the kid to the league.
Exactly, yeah.
What a way to welcome the kid to the fucking league. That doesn't, it's just, wow. Wow. What a disgrace of a fucking league and officiating.
No, absolutely. And like I said, they feel like they got a vendetta against this kid for some reason.
Yeah, I don't... Hold on. Yeah, we're good. My headphone cut out. Sorry. Yeah, no, we're chilling. Okay.
No, that's okay.
But yeah, what were you saying, Gunk?
No, I was just saying, like I said, this is, again, he should be just promoted the way these other stars are, and he's just not. And it's sad to see, again, just because, again, he's such a great talent. When you watch him on the ice, the moves he makes, and he's, again, in the next 2 or 3 years, he's going to be the guy. And like I said, they're just not showcasing him in the way they would anybody else. And like I said, it's sad. I mean, they have their favorites. I don't know if this kid has said something or if he's just too quiet, or I wish there's stories going to be coming out about this, in the next years or so. You're not going to hear it now, but as he gets older, you're going to hear stories come out that he's either said something or he's not a good teammate, or you're going to hear these stories. And it's sad because he just seems like a really good kid and he's young, and he was thrown into a situation, being first overall, being held, the savior of this Blackhawks team. And so far, it's not worked out well for him. I mean, he's played really well, but it's not worked out for him. And like I said, we all here want the best for him. That's all I want, just the best for this kid. He seems like a good kid off the ice.
Yeah, he definitely has that vibe of it. But I mean, the Blackhawks aren't helping him either.
Right. No, exactly.
There's no goal support. There's no line support. His best linemen were Tyler Bertuzzi and Taylor Hall.
And Taylor Hall's not even there anymore.
And neither, like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's you're just losing all these guys that are actually helping him, and now it's just him and Ryan Donato who just happen to be good.
right.
Like, he wasn't even
Yeah.
that good in Boston. He just
No,
happened
he
to be
broke
good
out.
because, hey, guess what? Nobody else is.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that much of an accomplishment to be. It's not that much of an accomplishment to be the best player on the worst team, because it's
Right.
not that hard. Lace me up in some skates and I'll put up 15.
Yeah. It's just
Like,
slide me a
it's
sled. I get sled hockey. That's about it
yeah.
nowadays.
Like, give
Especially
me
with
something.
my
I'll
lower
figure it
body
out.
injury.
But yeah, it's the NHL is just a joke with how their officiating is and everything, and you're
No,
noticing it a lot more. But to not get all wrapped up in that, we can keep talking about our teams real quick. You had
no
mentioned
problem.
the Devils game against Vancouver. I want to talk about my trip with Vancouver. That was
Okay.
the worst game I've ever watched.
Oh,
Shot breakdowns for this game. First period, 11-1 Vancouver.
wow.
Second period, 13-5 Vancouver.
And this is a game that he actually won, and he's crapping on this game. Man, don't
Yeah.
forget that, guys. They won that game.
Third period, 15-6. Total shots on goal, 39-12 in favor of Vancouver. Vancouver got goalied in this game. Igor is better than any player on this team. Wow.
You have to
Kevin
agree with that.
Lankinen is garbage. Like the Devils got so unlucky with Demko
know.
being back for that first game.
I saw that and I was like, oh, God dang it. Why did he have to come back this game? I swear.
Well, in the last game, Lankinen went 7 for 11 with a .636 save percentage.
As we talk about baseball coming back, that'd be a great baseball streak if you were a hitter, man.
Oh,
man.
if he was
7
hitting
for
6,
11,
if he was hitting 600, he would be great.
he'd be fantastic. Shit.
Oh my God, you'd be that's Hall of Fame numbers.
Exactly. But yeah.
But this ain't
cool.
baseball. This is
This ain't
hockey, and
baseball,
7 out of
That's
11
what
and
we played every day.
636 is bad.
Yes, absolutely. Oh,
Oh my goodness.
yes.
And I said it last week that we need to stop bringing up this stupid date, and it's the last time I will, because I wanted to cry. The last time the Rangers played the Canucks and they won was November 19th. The last time they won 3 games in a row.
No,
Let's
I said this. I thought the same thing when during
It's
the
great.
game.
It's great. And then
Oh.
I didn't watch the Kings game because 10:30 start time is just rude.
Yeah, well,
Like, that's disrespectful. 3-1 loss. It sucks. I mean, you scored the first goal, couldn't tie it. The Kings have only lost 3 times at home in regulation this year. Fine, sure,
and they're one of
whatever.
the best surprises this year too. They especially with Drew Doughty going out early in the season or early in preseason actually. And this Kings team has come together really well, and they're gonna be maybe not like a top threat, but they're gonna make some noise in these playoffs coming up.
Yeah,
I
get
got a
ready to
feel- I
lose
got a
to
funny
Edmonton
feeling.
in the first round again.
Oh, oof. Especially we got McDavid hurt now. He's gonna be out a little longer than Draisaitl's gonna be with them both out now for they said about a week or so. But I think Draisaitl should be coming back soon, but we don't know the extent of McDavid injury. So again, it's so hard in the NHL because they don't specifically tell you again what injuries you get. It's either lower or upper body most
Yeah.
times. So it's really hard to estimate when people are coming back. So. I feel like that's kind of a weird thing, but again, I know other sports, they'll tell you if it's a shoulder, if it's a neck, especially in football, they'll tell you what exactly it is. So, but yeah, like I said, Kings he said, McDavid, I said, hopefully he gets better. I said, get ready for the playoffs. They said, we're at the stretch now where most teams are 10, 11 games left in the season. This is the stretch now. And I want to bring up something really quick. the Sheldon Keith Kovacevic thing.
Ugh.
Oh boy, wow, was that like that? Did that come out of left field?
Honestly, no.
And
Honestly, no. This feels very Sheldon to me.
yes, I was that was the point I was going to bring up. Until you realize who's the coach of this team, it picked it up, and I got to give it to him. Kovacevic has not played well, especially over the last month or so. He came out like a house of fire in the first game of the year against the Buffalo in Chechnya in the global series. He played really well in that game. He was a bright. We thought we got a steal. We signed him to a contract, and ever since we signed that contract, he's been pretty much not very well, especially on the defensive side, not very well at all. So I'm so glad for Sheldon to call him out on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate that when coaches call out specific players, but this time I think he needed that little boost. And it wasn't like this big thing where it was like, people made it out to be this like huge thing. Like they were like, oh my God, he called him out. Hey, you know what? If we don't have, the pairing our defense with Siegenthaler and Hamilton out, Kovacevic, this is the time you got to start stepping up now. So I feel bad, and he did play better last night. He had a couple shots on goal, couple blocks. It was played a decent game, but yeah, Sheldon Keith feels like he needs to call this out, and I like it. I really like it.
Fair enough.
I like it as a head coach.
I feel like I saw Devils fans saying that they wanted him fired. Like, what are you talking about?
Those are the crazy fucking Facebook fans. Fuck
yeah,
that
those
shit.
are like you're a genuine idiot if you think that Sheldon Keefe should be fired for that. He did this in Toronto. It was just more backhanded.
No,
he just never said names. It was just a matter.
Right.
I can guarantee you, if the reporter never said Kovacevic's name, Sheldon Keefe would have never said anything.
Absolutely.
Because it was a quote from Kovacevic before saying we need to have more of a playoff mentality that we don't have right now. So it was brought up to the head coach. The head coach said, well, he needs to have that mentality too because he hasn't been playing well.
No, absolutely.
Good. That's what these are adult men. Like these are men playing against other men, working with other men. This isn't the OHL. This isn't the WHL. This isn't the Q. These are guys that are 18 and older. They're all adults. They can handle it. I'm sure Kovacevic didn't take anything behind it, from it, besides the fact that, hey, maybe I do need to play better.
No, absolutely. I like that he called them out on it.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those, like, if fans are watching it and the coach calls it out, then it's a legit fact. And like I said, ever since then he did. I mean, they really brought it up on the ESPN broadcast with versus Vancouver on Monday. They really brought up the Kovacevic thing. When he took the penalty, they brought it up. When he made a good play, they brought it up. I mean, it was all over ESPN. But again, that ESPN, that's the business they do. They're into they're more into the entertainment side nowadays, so they're looking for any quote to turn it around and make it a story. So, like I said, I enjoyed that Keith called it out. I feel like it's refreshing to hear it, and like I said, they played a really good game against Chicago last night. But it was Chicago. They have a couple big games coming up again, against Winnipeg coming up. They have a couple, back-to-backs against the Wild coming up. So this is the point of the time where, yes, playoff mentality. It starts now. Let's go. We got to get going. Let's get your asses in gear and let's make this push for the playoffs. Like I said, the game last night really helped in the standings. We're 9 points ahead of the Rangers. We're 9 points ahead of the Islanders for the third spot. We're pretty much solidified a playoff spot last night. I think it's like a 98% chance after the win last night. So, I mean, right now, Devils fans should be focused on getting through the rest of the season healthy, getting to that point of the playoffs, which, again, announcement here, I will be at the last game of the year.
Hey.
Me and the kid. Yep, we're doing the family thing. We're going to the last game. We'll be at the Rock for the last game versus Detroit. So hopefully, it'll be a good game. Hopefully they're in the playoffs by then, and we're not like, oh my God, we need these points to get in. But Detroit's gonna have a good game with that night because they'll be kind of in the mix, kind of. So it should be a good game. But
well,
yeah, like I said,
everybody, with that, GFG, go find Gunk. Last game of the
me.
season at Prudential Center. Go find Gunk. But
yes,
the Devils are gearing up for a playoff run. New York Rangers fans, gear up for baseball. If you're a Yankees fan, Mets fan, Red Sox, Phillies, whatever fan you are, we have something to look forward to. The Yankees are great. The Mets are great. We will be cooking. And we'll be talking about the Devils in the playoffs. Because with the way the Rangers have been playing, it does not seem like they want the spot.
Right.
But as much as I want the spot, and as much as everybody else wants the spot, we will come to that when we get there. But this has been another episode of the What the Puck podcast. I've been Nick. Sir. That's been Gunk. Gunk, tell him you love him, baby.
Like I said, I noticed a little tick up on our thing this week. It's been fantastic. Apparently some of my basketball girls found me on TikTok and found us on YouTube. So we're being followed by 11-year-old girls, maybe.
We are not. Wait, we are not for kids. We are not for kids. Hold on, we cannot bring that up. We are not for kids.
And I told them get off my page, but
we have to quantify that right now. We are not for children at all. We are not a kids show. Kids are not on the show.
That's right.
We are not a kids program. If you are listening to this and under the age of 18, get the fuck out.
No, that totally came out wrong, but it was more they found out what my nickname was, and it's not just Coach T. They started canning Coach Gunk, so that's
what's up.
Pretty funny. But anyway, you 18 and older people out there, enjoy the What the Puck podcast. We are on.
Everybody else, get out.
And get out. If you're on get out.
Get out. But
we also have our TikTok at What the Puck Podcast. I put up random things as we put up last week. We made fun of the glass man thing, which I was like, I'm surprised you didn't get that right away. I was like, oh shit.
If you saw the comment, I definitely thought you were gonna do Scatman's World. I thought you were gonna be bot and scat all over here.
Oh no, I was totally WWEing that shit all day long.
All right, well.
Alrighty, guys.
We will have more WWE stuff to talk about because I want to talk more about Cena because it's been weird. But, gang, we love you. Gunk, I love you. Everybody, keep it real, keep it light, keep it tight. We will catch you next week for another episode. Peace.